one of the greatest villains of all time. No one is disputing that. However, did you know that other villains exist too? Because I do. But if you didn't, we're gonna highlight some today because the world is burning, and what else can I do to help my really crippling anxiety of all that is going on around the world than to just talk about Batman? That totally helps me, and I hope it helps you too. Welcome back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hi. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the fascination with the Clown Prince of Crime. I understand why fans and creators are drawn to the chaotic existence of the Harley Quinn of hate. I mean, the clown literally has 2 Oscars, so I get it. But it seems that so many comics and TV and film and video games give so much focus to just Joker that a lot of the other villains aren't highlighted as much. I understand why Joker is the focus of so much media, more so than other villains. I do. I get it. This video isn't telling you why Joker is such a fascinating character because you probably already know that. However, there are so many villains within Batman's 80+ year rogues gallery that there's plenty to choose from to be the focal point of future tales across all visual media. For this video, I will be briefly highlighting 10 other incredible Batman villains besides the Joker. For each villain, I will be giving you a little background and essential story arcs that you need to check out if you want to learn more about these villains. But before we go to the dark side, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become part of this wonderful Gothamite community, especially since you're probably stuck at home right now. So why wouldn't you subscribe and watch this video and all the other videos on this channel? You got time. It's not funny. Like, all of this that's happening in the world is not funny, but if I don't laugh, I'll cry. So oh, and also, short disclaimer, this isn't a ranking of villains, just throwing out some villains, just so you know. Our first villain is Two-Face. Originally named Harvey Kent in his 1942 debut, and shortly after his name changed to Harvey Dent, so there wasn't any correlation between him and Clark Kent, aka Superman, and inspired by Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Detective Comics 66 Batman co-creator Bill Finger introduces Gotham City's District Attorney Harvey Kent, who, after half of his face gets some unfortunate time with acid, thanks to crime boss and city scum Maroni, Harvey Kent, or Harvey Dent, becomes the villain Two-Face, who is obsessed with duality, the number 2, and lets his scarred double-sided coin make decisions for him, even if it's between life and death. While Two-Face has been portrayed in very popular media, Two-Face can definitely be explored further between his relationship with Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. We can dive into Batman's guilt with not being able to save his friend from this dual infamous life. And Two-Face is literally a fantastic character to focus on what it really means to be good and evil, because he's literally trying to deal with both. If you want to learn more about Two-Face, here are some stories that you need to check out. There's Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams' story called Half an Evil, which was in 1971's Batman 234. Andrew Helfer's Eye of the Beholder, which was originally published in 1990's Batman Annual 14. I absolutely love that story. That is literally my favorite Two-Face story. Of all the things, I constantly go back and read that issue. It's outstanding. Kevin Altieri's Two-Face Part 1 and 2, which were both 1992 episodes from the TV show Batman the Animated Series. And speaking of Kevin Altieri, I did actually talk about these 2 incredible animated episodes in my last year's San Diego Comic-Con panel. If you are interested in that, also hearing from other BTAS and DCAU incredible creators, then go in the description below and check it out. I absolutely loved talking with them, especially being a BTAS fangirl. Definitely a dream come true. Definitely cannot forget Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's 1996 and 1997 13-issue saga, Batman: The Long Halloween, because that is a fantastic origin story for Harvey Dent and his transformation into Two-Face. And if you haven't seen it, check out Christopher Nolan's 2008 Batman sequel film, The Dark Knight, which stars Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, who turns into Two-Face. That is another fantastic origin story, and The Long Halloween was a big influence on that movie, so I say just watch it. And it's a good movie. I mean, it's The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger, Christian Bale. We're good. It's I think, ooh, no. I was gonna say, oh, it's on Netflix right now, but I literally think the day I'm filming this, they took it off. But go check, baby. Okay, our second villain is Ra's al Ghul. Now, I say Ra's like this, and then other people say Ra's al Ghul. That feels very foreign to me, and so I always say Ra's. I think I stuck with Ra's because when I did a podcast interview with Paul Levitz, he pronounced it Ra's, and he's a god. So I was like, okay, if he says it like that, I don't feel so bad. But I know people say Ra's. It's fine. You could say Ra's. I'm not going to judge you. It's just really weird for me to say Ra's. Even saying Ra's right now is weird. Like, I don't like it. That's really offensive if that's like how you pronounce it. I'm like, I don't like how you say your name, so I'm gonna change it. Like, I don't know. Introduced a month after his daughter, who would later become not only a part-time lover to Batman, but the mother to Bruce's biological son, Damian Wayne. She's such a bad person, Talia. I mean, Ra's is too, but she's so bad. Like, I just finished on Instagram, which is at History of the Batman, so you should just go follow because it's good times there, I'm telling you. I just finished a session called The Beautiful Disaster of Talia al Ghul and highlighted major story arcs with her. And just rereading comics and watching media and all that, she's just a bad person. She is literally the epitome of a femme fatale. Smoking hot, crazy bitch. You know, no, just kidding. But anyway, in 1971's Batman issue 232, which is 2 issues before one of the Two-Face stories that I mentioned. Huh. Didn't that work out nice? Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams is back at it again and introduced Ra's al Ghul, leader of the League of Assassins. This ancient villain who has survived for centuries thanks to the wonders of the Lazarus Pit continuously proves to be one of Batman's greatest foes. Fighting shirtless with Batsy in the desert. Who doesn't love that? Arranging the marriage between Bruce and Talia twice in comics. And you know, trying to wipe out the world's population to start anew because he thinks the world's population is trash right now and just needs to start all over again. That's his shtick, you know? All of that and more definitely makes Ra's al Ghul one of the best villains to highlight and dive deeper into their own mythology. Here are some stories that I think you should check out. There's Daughter of the Demon, which was in Batman 232. The Demon Lives Again in Batman issue 244. Denny O'Neil's Birth of the Demon, which was also illustrated by Norm Brayfogle, the late and forever great Norm Brayfogle. The art in there is outstanding. An Elseworld that I love that is called Brotherhood of the Bat. Ooh, Mark Waid and Howard Porter's JLA Tower of Babel. Man, such a good JLA arc. And of course that was the inspiration for the animated film Justice League Doom. So if you have seen that, that is literally the adaptation. And once again, just go check out the Dark Knight trilogy because Ra's al Ghul is actually featured in Batman Begins very, very heavily, which was the first film in the trilogy. It came out in 2005. Ra's al Ghul was played by Liam Neeson, which amazing. Our third villain is Mr. Freeze. Originally debuting as Mr. Zero in Batman 121, and a decade later finally called Mr. Freeze thanks to the character's popularity on the 1960s live-action TV show Batman. And see, that's what he looked like. Oh my gosh, I love Funko so much. But there's good old Mr. Freeze. After a tragic accident in a cryogenics lab, scientist Victor Freeze can now only survive in sub-zero temperatures. Not only did this transform him into the vengeful Mr. Freeze, but it also set the stage for the never-ending journey to find the cure for his terminally ill wife Nora, who was also affected by this accident. I always find Mr. Freeze to be a fascinating character because Freeze and Batman's interactions are typically grounded in much sympathy, with the Dark Knight knowing that this once good man is just trying to save his wife. However, as Batman says time and time again, justice is justice. The hammers of justice are unisex. I don't care if you're breaking the law. I don't care what your sob story is. You gotta be apprehended. You know, he just kind of cares but doesn't care, and I think that alone is great to look at and observe in comics or any other media. Batman is a very complex character. A lot. Like, so much going on there. And so is his Rogues Gallery, which is why it's one of the greatest Rogues Galleries in all of fiction. Anyway, let's continue. Let's talk about some stories that you should check out if you want to learn more about Mr. Freeze. Of course, there is Batman 121, which I mentioned earlier, and that is Mr. Zero's debut. The 1992 Batman the Animated Series episode Heart of Ice, which was by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. That is one of the most popular interpretations of Mr. Freeze, and ever since that episode, for decades to come, that has been the foundation of Mr. Freeze's origin story. I don't know why I did a box. That was weird. The one-shot Batman Mr. Freeze, which was a companion comic and a tie-in comic to the 1997 Joel Schumacher film, Batman and Robin. I'm sure you're like, oh, I'm sure the comic sucks. But no, it doesn't. Actually, that whole thing, it was Batman, Poison Ivy, and Bane, and Mr. Freeze, and they all came out in the stories are fantastic. Like, please, go look it up. J.M. DeMatteis' Legend of the Dark Knight arc Snow. 2012's Night of the Owl's First Snow, which was originally published in Batman Annual #1. And 2013's DLC to Batman Arkham Origins called Cold, Cold Heart, which was highly influenced by the 1992 BTAS episode Heart of Ice. If you are stuck at home and you have Batman Arkham Origins, or you're stuck at home and you should buy Batman Arkham Origins, I'm pretty sure like tons of video games are on sale. Everything's on sale. Movies are on sale, video games are on sale. There are movies that are in theaters that are coming straight to digital. Like, for instance, Birds of Prey. Warner Brothers announced yesterday, Birds of Prey is going to be released on digital March 24th, on Tuesday. Because everyone's at home and they're like, let's get this money. You know what I mean? I'm going to be buying it. I am excited to have it in my collection because I like the movie a lot. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the movie, I did a review. So go check it out. It'll be in the description below. Our fourth villain is Talon. That dude. Debuting in 2011 at the dawn of the New 52, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's character Talon is the name for the elite assassins. Can't do a video without some good old-fashioned sirens. You don't know. Why would you know? Oh yeah, just watch the fire truck go by. But anyway, Talon is the name for the elite assassins, part of the urban legends of Gotham called the Court of Owls. I also did a 1-minute bat history on that initial arc, Court of Owls, so if you do want to check that out, I'll put it in the description below. It sounds annoying and I'm so sorry. Since the court's debut, we have seen several different people take up the Talon marker. From William Cobb, who turned out to be not only Dick Grayson's great-grandfather, which but also killed Bruce Wayne's ancestor, Alan Wayne. Calvin Rose, who originally an acrobat at Haley's Circus because sure, was an assassin who was resurrected by the Court of Owls after being killed by Bane. And they literally forced him to be an assassin for the Court of Owls. While the Court of Owls and the Talon Mantle are relatively new, they are two very fascinating and rather captivating pieces of Batman's mythology that creators can just have a ball with. They can have so much fun exploring more of this piece of Batman's history. Let's talk about some stories that if you do want to check out Talon and the Court of Owls and learn more about this very mysterious group in Gotham. We have the Court of Owls The City of Owls, The Night of Owls. They're all separate arcs. I would also recommend watching some episodes of Gotham, the Fox TV show, because Court of Owls is on there, and this is my owl that I received from Warner Brothers when I had to promote these episodes. Also, who's holding this? Also, check out the 2015 animated film Batman vs. Robin, which Talon and the Court of Owls play a large part within this film. Our fifth villain is Scarecrow. One of the oldest rogues on our list, Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, debuted in 1941's World's Finest Comics issue number 3. A now shamed Gotham City psychology professor, because aren't we all? Crane's obsession with fears and phobias turned into creating toxins and transmitters that are able to bring fear to everyone that comes across it in Gotham. Scarecrow is, of course, an incredible villain to focus on, especially with the interaction with Batman, because anytime Batman is wrapped up in his fear toxin, lots of Bruce Wayne's own guilt and trauma come to the surface, with his fear being surrounded by the death of his parents many years ago. And there are even other instances where Batman thinks of horrible events such as the death of the second Robin, Jason Todd. Observing not only Scarecrow's interaction with Batman, but also how Batman deals with this trauma and the tragedies and the guilt, and just him dealing with his emotions and mental state while dealing with fear toxins is always something I think that is super interesting to look at and should be way more in comics. I honestly feel like we can do so much more with this character and with Batman dealing with his own trauma. Would love to see it. Some stories that I think you should check out is The Riddle of the Human Scarecrow, which was a story in 1941's World's Finest number 3. Elliot S. Maggin stories The Scarecrow's Fearsome Face-Off, which is in 1978's The Joker issue 8. I have talked about the Joker publication before, I believe in my most controversial canceled Batman story. The Joker publication is so cool because not only do you not see Batman in any of these stories, he's mentioned, of course, because Joker has to talk about him in some capacity because he's obsessed with him. But in each story you get to see other villains within Batman's rogues gallery, like fighting Joker. It's fantastic. But yes, check out that story. Ooh, Mike W. Barr, Fear for Sale. So good. Which was published in 1987's Detective Comics issue 571. Alan Grant's arc, The God of Fear, which is a tie-in to the Batman Nightfall series that was published in 1993. And is an arc in Batman Shadow of the Bat, an awesome publication. Part of Hush, he plays a small but important role helping Hush in this story. And if you like Hush, if you like Catwoman, I say go check it out. And once again, I know you guys think I'm just like kissing the ass of Christopher Nolan, but Batman Begins 2005. Scarecrow, fun fact, is the only villain in the whole Dark Knight trilogy that is in every single movie. Check out the trilogy since you're checking it out for Ra's al Ghul, like I mentioned. And then just a bonus, now that I'm sitting here thinking about just other Scarecrow stories, play Batman Arkham Asylum. Because I swear, the first time you had to play where you couldn't be in Scarecrow's like eyesight, and you had to hide and weave, and you had to make it to the bat signal to shine it in his face to go back to like the morgue. I was so frustrated because it took me like 5 times to get through the first one to not get caught, and it was frustrating. I'm pretty sure my controller was thrown. I was upset. Go check that out too. Our number 6 villain, bear with me, is Thomas Wayne, aka Flashpoint Batman. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm sure you're like, London, he's not a bad guy. What are you saying? That's Bruce Wayne's father. What are you talking about? Well, as of late, fam, he's a bad guy. Cue Billie Eilish somewhere because he is just out here right now. As I've mentioned a lot recently, in particular in my last 2 videos, which are both 5-minute bat histories on Crime Alley and Joe Chill. So if you haven't checked those out, they're both 5 minutes apiece. It isn't a long rant podcast like this, so go check it out. But Thomas Wayne and his wife Martha Wayne debuted in 1939's Detective Comics issue 33, and they debuted in Batman's origin story, and the first time you see him, they get murdered in Crime Alley or Park Row at this point. For many, many years, a lot of the time that we did see Thomas Wayne, it was through hallucinations by Bruce, remembering the death of his parents. And while there are other stories that do feature Thomas Wayne, and not him just dead on the ground, the one that I'm sure everyone knows him for now, and it's become such a fan favorite Batman character, which I didn't really expect when he debuted as this character, was in 2011 Flashpoint series, which is by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert. If you do want to learn about Flashpoint, I did do a 1-minute bat history on Flashpoint, so if you do want to run down of that entire arc in a minute, that video is in the description below. Why am I like this? In this alternate universe, it isn't Thomas and Martha that get gunned down. It is actually Bruce Wayne. And through witnessing their child get murdered in a dark, dirty alley, Thomas Wayne just is like, I'm over it. This is a problem. I need a gun and I need to become the Batman of this universe. And Martha literally goes insane with grief over the death of her child, and she becomes that universe's Joker. While most storylines after this revolve around Flashpoint Batman helping his son, the regular Batman, Tom King's last major Batman arc before leaving the publication, called City of Bane, which came out all last year, revealed that Flashpoint Batman was behind all the grief that Bruce Wayne's Batman went through because he was trying to systematically ruin Bruce's life, just so he doesn't want to be Batman anymore. All this resorting in not only convincing Selina Kyle not to marry Bruce Wayne and leave him at the rooftop altar, but also torturing Batman in Arkham Asylum, and worst of all, policing Gotham City with other villains, banning vigilantes in the city, and is basically the reason why Bane killed Alfred Pennyworth, and Alfred is still dead right now, and it's been months. When is he coming back? Flashpoint Batman even won an award during the whole Villain of the Year series for being a bad guy. It would be fantastic to see more of Flashpoint Batman. It doesn't even have to be the Flashpoint storyline. Exploring it in video games or even animated or live action film, I think would be really, really interesting for not only cult fans of Flashpoint Batman, but also other fans of Batman that maybe aren't into comics, and I think they would really be interested in this character and his really weird evolution. And not just seeing Thomas, I don't know, gunned down in every single beginning of like every Batman movie that has been a thing in the modern era. Let's talk about some Flashpoint Batman stories for you to check out. There is Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso's 3-issue tie-in series, Flashpoint Night of Vengeance, Jim Creek's 2013 animated film, Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, which is of course an animated adaptation of Jeff Johns' entire Flashpoint arc, Jeff King's Convergence series, which has Brainiac kind of clashing different universes, and of course Flashpoint Batman is just thrown into there, but Convergence is a very complicated but awesome read. And that came out in 2015. It has 8 core issues. I'm sure it is all together in a trade paperback. Joshua Williamson and Tom King's The Button, which was a 4-issue arc that came out in 2017 and was in the Batman and the Flash publication, where it deals with finding a button in the Batcave, the awfulness of Reverse Flag, and basically learning that Dr. Manhattan created the DC Rebirth world, and it's fun. Go check it out. And of course, 2019 City of Bane by Tom King, which was published in Batman issue 75 to 85. Since we just talked about the City of Bane, our 7th villain just has to be Bane. My all-time favorite Batman Rogue. Created by Doug Mensch, Graham Nolan, and Chuck Dixon, Bane first appeared in 1993's Batman Vengeance of Bane issue number 1. Born and raised in the Penadoro prison, Santa Prisca, and subject to the Venom experiments happening in this jail, which, fun fact, Venom, the super steroid drug, was originally created by Denny O'Neil and was used in the story Batman Venom, which gave the creators of Bane the idea to even create Bane and use this drug as his fuel. So Denny O'Neil is partially credited with creating Bane in the sense that he created the drug Venom. After Bane escapes this prison and learns about the urban legend of the Batman in Gotham City, to prove he's greater than Batman, he decides to systematically break down the Dark Knight, which all leads to the arc Batman Nightfall, where Bane learns the identity of Batman, goes to Bruce Wayne's house at Wayne Manor, and breaks his back, which leads Bruce Wayne to briefly step down from the mantle, and he gives the Batman mantle to John Paul Valley and not Dick Grayson. I'm still salty about that, and this came out in like 93. But it's fine because after Nights and he gives him the mantle briefly so he can get his mind together in Batman Prodigal, which is the Chuck Dixon arc. So if you're interested in Dick Grayson's first time really taking up the Batman mantle before Bruce dies later in 2009, go check it out. Having a level of obsession about Batman that is equal to the Joker's obsession with the Caped Crusader. Bane has several storylines that could already add to his image of the super steroid man who broke the bat. It has already been presented in film, comics, and video games. Here are some stories that I think you should check out if you do want to learn more about Bane. There is, of course, Batman Vengeance of Bane #1, his origin story. There is Batman Nightfall, which of course is where the man broke the bat. There's Bane of the Demon, which we already talked about, Roz, on this list, but Bane and Talia kind of had a thing. I recently reread that story because of my Talia session on Instagram. It's like, she's such a bad person. But go read that, Bane of the Demon. Really, really good. Another very underrated, not just Bane story, but Batman story. Tabula Rasa. Now, I may be pronouncing that wrong. I'm so sorry. But that is such a good story. It's a Gotham Knights like 3-issue arc, and it has Bane trying to find his biological father. And for a minute, he honestly believes that Thomas Wayne, Bruce's dad, is his dad as well. And Batman literally helps him try to find out if that's true. It's a crazy soap opera story, but it's so good. And like, no one talks about it, and I don't know why. Please, go read it. Then there is, of course, The Dark Knight Rises, the 2012 into Christopher Nolan's trilogy. And then once again, please read City of Bane. Our 8th villain is the Riddler. Created by Bill Finger and Dick Sprang, Edward Nygma, aka the Riddler, debuted in 1948's Detective Comics issue 140. Obsessed with puzzles, aren't we all? The king of conundrums turned to a life of crime in Gotham and utilizes puzzles and riddles as clues to leave for the Batman to see if he can solve them and figure out what schemes the Riddler is plotting. Riddler's inflated ego is definitely part of his charm because he is always trying to prove that he is the most brilliant guy in the room, especially more brilliant than Batman. Even though most of the time Bruce turns out to be the more superior riddle solver, and he even gets help from the Batman family at times, from Robin to even Alfred. Overall, I do think the Riddler is a very underrated character and doesn't get as much publicity or usage within a lot of media. I think that people just see the puzzles and the riddles and they're like, oh, that's not really a villain, and they just kind of write it off. But no, he's a mastermind of sorts, and yeah, Riddler's dope. But here are some stories. There is The Riddler, which is his debut in Detective Comics 140. There are the 2 episodes, Hi Diddle Diddle and Smack in the Middle, which are actually the debut episodes of the 1966 live-action TV show Batman. And Frank Gorshin's Riddler is one of the greatest interpretations of Riddler of all time. There is also the arc Dark Knight, Dark City. There is the 1995 film Batman Forever that stars Jim Carrey portraying the Riddler, and his Riddler was inspired by Frank Gorshin's Riddler in the 60s TV show. And honestly, the best part of Batman Forever is the Riddler. So if you haven't watched that movie, it's the 25th anniversary this year. Go watch it again. Like, celebrate. There is Batman Hush, and honestly, that story made me love the Riddler even more than I already did and say, wow, that's actually a really dope character. If you haven't read Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee's Batman Hush, please go do so. And another one of my favorites is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's 0 Year Savage City, which has a huge focal point on the Riddler. Oop, ding. Okay, we have two more that I will try to quickly go through because I know this video is already long. I'm sitting here filming, but I already know. Our ninth villain is Poison Ivy. Robert Kanigher's character, Poison Ivy, debuted in the 1960s during the feminist movement. And Batman's mythos needed a female villain that was kind of independent and didn't automatically become a Batman love interest, kind of like Catwoman did. A little bit. She debuted in 1966, Batman issue 181, and even in like the splash page, which I'm gonna put it here, even in the splash page, she tries to woo Batman and kisses him. Does she want to be with him? No. But she is literally like one of the OG femme fatales of the Batman mythos, but she doesn't get that much pub, and I don't know why. The recent interpretation that I do love of Poison Ivy is actually within the DC Universe show Harley Quinn. I love that Poison Ivy. She is like my spirit animal. Honestly, in most of her stories, Pamela Isley is a botanist student or a lover of botany, and whether it's through her professor using her for experiments and then becoming immune to toxins from plants or whatever the story, Pamela Isley slowly turns into Poison Ivy and uses her plants as her weapon, and then also creates pheromones in different ways, whether it's perfume, lipstick, what have you, to put men in a trance of sorts, to have them do whatever she wants, even if that's committing crimes across Gotham City. I love to see arcs that do focus on Batman and Poison Ivy because Batman tries to get through to her that she doesn't have to live this life in the jungle, like she doesn't have to be this criminal, that she doesn't have to do these horrible things because she is actually a brilliant scientist of sorts. So it's like, why are you doing it? If you want some stories to focus on this lovely, lovely poisonous, I don't know where I'm going with this. If you want to see more about Poison Ivy, then check out these stories. So there is, of course, Beware of Poison Ivy, which was her debut story. Jerry Conway's A Kiss of Death 3 Times, which was in 1978's World's Finest issues 251 to 252. Neil Gaiman's post-crisis origin story, which is one of the greatest Poison Ivy stories of all time. And that was published in 1988's Secret Origins issue 36. John Van Fleet's Batman and Poison Ivy Cast Shadows. That is also a very fantastic Batman and Poison Ivy story. And Amy Chu and Clay Mann's Poison Ivy Cycle of Life and Death. I absolutely love it. Please check it out. We are on our last one. Number 10 is The Batman Who Laughs. Not really recently, but I did do a video that was called Everything You Need to Know About the Batman Who Laughs. So if you do want to check that out, if you want to focus on that character, I will put that in the description below. Another amazing creation by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, which also became another cult favorite character that I wasn't expecting to be such a popular Batman character villain. I mean, he even won the award for the villain of the year. It's anyway. Originally seen in 2017's Dark Days, the casting #1, and a focal point in Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's arc Dark Knight's Metal is not the Joker, which I'm sure if you have just look at this character and you're like, that's the Joker, and you talked about not Joker. No. This is Batman. This is Bruce Wayne's Batman from Earth -22. And after Bruce Wayne's Batman kills the Joker from Joker's dead body, there are the chemicals that made Joker who he is. And Batman gets wrapped up in these chemicals and slowly becomes a mixture of Batman and Joker. With Bruce Wayne having the brilliance and physical strength that he always had, and then mixing it with Joker's kind of very sadistic and psychotic nature, Batman just started killing everybody. He killed literally all the Batman family and most of the Gothamites in Gotham City. Like, it was a bloodbath. Only person he didn't kill was Damian Wayne, and he made clones of him and made them his like little Joker scary Robins. Like, it's messy. He is one of the most evil interpretations, which makes you think, like, if one of the most evil Batman villains is partially Batman, what does that say about Batman? Maybe the Batman Who Laughs is just Bruce's opportunity to do all the horrible things he wishes he could do. I don't know. But this all leads to the Batman Who Laughs being one of 7 of the different interpretations of Batman that come from this dark multiverse, which is why it was Earth -22 and not Earth 22. And the god Barbados brings all those together to try to fight the Prime Earth Batman and make all the universes all dark multiverses. Although the Batman Who Laughs is the most recent Batman villain on this list, only a few years old. Seeing the Batman Who Laughs in animation or somehow a live action film or even a story surrounded by him in a video game, I think would be so cool. He is definitely a villain that I think will grow more and more in the mythology. And because of this, I know his mythology will be expanded and explored even more, or it should be, because he's literally a crazy Batman, and who doesn't love that? First, for some stories that you should check out, you should check out the Dark Knight's Metal series. You should also check out the limited series, The Batman Who Laughs, and also read Doomsday Clock, which has a small but kind of cool cameo of the Batman Who Laughs. I know that more creators will be writing about this character and implementing it into other Batman stories, and that is my hope. Honestly, that is my hope for not just the Batman Who Laughs, but for all the villains that I discussed in this list. Because while we all love us some Joker, we all do, and it is perfectly fine to love the Joker, I would just hope that these villains and even other villains that I didn't discuss in this video would get more of the limelight than just relying on a story that's all about the Clown Prince of Crime. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 DC Black Label books right now that are about Joker. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have the media. Oh, ding, I'm so sorry. I would like to see some more evil Batman villains highlighted within future media that are just as stellar as the Clown Prince of Crime. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about 10 Batman villains that are better than the Joker. I'm pretty sure that's my clickbait title for this video. If you did enjoy this video, please give a bat thumbs up. As always, all my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out my other Batman videos on this channel because I hope you're at home and trying to stay healthy in this really anxiety-riddled time. I honestly hope that you guys are okay. If you do want to read some facts about what's going on with the coronavirus and not just go down a Twitter rabbit hole and look like conspiracy theories and stuff, why don't you go to this website and it'll talk to you about the symptoms for the virus, how to prevent getting the illness, and also what to do if you have contracted the coronavirus. And wash your hands like thoroughly for at least 20 seconds. Get that soap, get that water. Like we all are just trying to survive here. My phone is going off. And stop buying all the toilet paper, okay? Oh, but of course, please subscribe to this channel so you become part of this Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and since I'm at home, we will have much more History of the Batman soon right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye.